The senator from Florida.
Madam President, I stand again today in support of our great ally, Israel. Israel is a vibrant democracy that supports capitalism, champions human rights, and holds free and open elections. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, and Israel deserves our unwavering support. Israel is surrounded by nations and terrorist groups that want it wiped off the face of the earth. I saw this firsthand during my latest visit as senator, which gave me a clear picture on Israel's proximity to its enemies: Hamas, Hezbollah, ISIS, and Iran. In my last visit, I was about half a mile from the Gaza Strip, went to a kibbutz, and what was shocking to me is the little children there instinctively raise, whenever they hear the sirens, they instinctively raise their hands because somebody's going to pick them up and get them to a bomb shelter. I think what they were telling me when I was there is they had 15 seconds to get to a bomb shelter when the sirens went off, which said the Hamas was sending rockets. Also, they were told the story that Hamas was sending balloons with candy and explosives. And so when the balloon would come down, if the children would touch it, it would explode. It's disgusting. For 11 days last month, we saw rockets rain down on Israel. As we watched Hamas terrorists target innocent Israeli citizens, I thought about the families impacted by this evil. Think about a 5-year-old you know. They like to play games. They love their brothers and sisters. They love their moms and dads. Well, a 5-year-old, just like one you're thinking of, named Ido Avigal, was killed as Hamas rockets indiscriminately just pounded Israel. Ido's life was taken by Hamas terrorists. I have a 5-year-old grandson. I can't imagine life without him. I can't imagine what Ido's family is going through right now. Instead of coming together against this violence, we saw the Democrats turn their backs on Israel. I was proud to lead more than 30 of my colleagues in a resolution to support Israel and its right to defend itself against terrorist attacks. Unfortunately, it was blocked by Senate Democrats. It was not so long ago that the Senate stood with Israel on a bipartisan basis. In 2014, when Israel was again subject to a barrage of rockets targeting innocent Israelis, then Majority Leader Reid offered a resolution supporting Israel's right to defend itself against Hamas. Every single senator voted to support Israel's right to defend itself against Hamas. Not anymore. It's despicable that something as simple as reaffirming America's support for Israel no longer aligns with the priorities of the Democrat Party. I've also joined a resolution with Senator Cruz to approve the arms sales to Israel, and a resolution with Senator Hawley to condemn the disturbing wave of anti-Semitic and anti-Israel actions in Congress, in the United States, and around the world. These reprehensible and disturbing acts must be swiftly condemned at every level, and those responsible prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. President Biden's State Department recently said, quote, "We're going to be working in partnership with the United Nations and the Palestinian Authority to kind of channel aid there in a manner that does its best to go to the people of Gaza," unquote. The official went on to say, quote, "As we've seen in life, as we all know in life, there are no guarantees. But we're going to do everything we can to ensure that this assistance reaches the people who need it the most," unquote. So the Biden administration can't guarantee that American taxpayers aren't going to fund terrorists and Hamas. The Biden administration thinks it's okay to fund Hamas terrorists because, quote, "in life there are no guarantees," unquote. The Biden administration seems unbothered if some funding goes to terrorists that killed Ido. President Biden must do better. His administration must control where this money is going. Yes, we can make sure American tax dollars aren't funding terrorists. But we are hearing from the Biden administration that they simply won't take the time to do what it takes to guarantee that. This lack of accountability or concern is absolutely disgusting, and we should not allow it. That's why I, along with Senators Joni Ernst, Cindy Hyde-Smith, and Mike Braun, introduced the Stop Taxpayer Funding of Hamas Act that says no funds will be authorized for the territory of Gaza until the President certifies to Congress that these funds can be spent without benefiting terrorist organizations. The Stop Taxpayer Funding of Hamas Act also ensures U.S. funds are not authorized for expenditure in the territory of Gaza through any United Nations entity or office that the President cannot certify is not encouraging or teaching anti-Israel and anti-Semitic ideas and propaganda. Recently, a European Union report was released showing Palestinian Authority textbooks in UN-supported schools encourage violence against Israelis, including anti-Semitic messages. And just last week, a tunnel reportedly dug by Hamas was found underneath a Gaza school run by the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. We can't allow this to continue. I'm proud to lead my colleagues in saying the U.S. will not fund this destruction.